Hi everyone, hopefully you can see me. I can't see myself yet, but it's probably just a little bit of a delay, so I'm so glad to have you here, and we'll get started in just a minute. And can you guys see me and hear me okay? Can you let me know and give me some feedback in the dialog box? That would be really helpful, just because I'm not sure. I may have to have tech support come and take a look at my dialog box here because I'm not seeing any movement, but hopefully you guys can see me. Can I get tech support to come over and take a look at my dialog box? Bear with us just a moment, guys. I'm going to smudge while we're waiting. Okay, I think we're in business. Let me take that from me. I think we're in business. So happy to help welcome you guys to our first astrological session. I hope you're excited about this evening. I have been excited all day. I'm so happy that I can finally see you now. Maybe I just needed a smudge to get us clear and get the energy going. So, hi everybody. We're using a new format. If you aren't in my programs, if you're not in sabbatical or a circle or pentacle, then this format should look really new to you. This is a new way for us to deliver our online content. A little more reliable, we're finding, than Spreecast, and really fun too, because you'll have one viewer, and at the end of the year, all 12 of our astrological sessions will just be queued up, and you can click to play any of the recordings that you want. So it'll be really nice to have everything in one place and very organized, very tidy. So that's why we've moved to this new platform. I'm so glad you like it. I think if you press Command plus, it will increase the size of everything for you, the size of the viewer, the size of the dialog box. So if you're like me and you're getting older and your vision isn't what it used to be, just press Command plus and you should be able to see a bigger version of everything. So welcome everybody. Okay, good. I'm glad that helped you. So this is the first gathering of this particular program. And what I'm hoping, my intention for this astrological series, is that it's really good learning for you, that it exposes you to information about these signs that's useful to you even if you're not this sign. So even if your sun sign or your moon sign or your rising sign is not in Aquarius, I really think that each of these sessions is going to be meaningful for you, because we're going to be talking about not just the sign, but what it means about the element, because Aquarius is an air sign, and the mode, because all astrological signs are either fixed, mutable, or cardinal. And I'm going to be teaching you about the astrological modes tonight. And no matter, you might have a different elemental sign, you might not be an air sign, but you might be a fixed sign. I'm a fixed fire sign. So I have something in common with Aquarius, even though Aquarius is my opposite astrological sign. It's the sign that I tend to have the most challenges with interpersonally. Interestingly enough, the universe surrounds me with Aquarius people. So I do think we end up being surrounded by the people that we most need to develop good relationships with. But anyway, so we're going to talk about what it means that Aquarius is a fixed air sign and what that means for you, even if you're not an Aquarius. And we're going to do a short meditation, what I'm calling tonight the water bearer meditation, because that's the representation of Aquarius. Aquarius is known as the water bearer, the water bearing sign. So I'm going to lead you through just a very brief meditation focused on purification, which is what the water bearer represents. I'm going to teach you about that. And then hopefully this will be just a really helpful meditation for you as we move from winter to spring here soon in the Northern Hemisphere. And this is a time of purification. This is a time of clearing and cleaning and removing what isn't serving you and just getting rid of all of what's dead, so that when life returns to the land in a few weeks, you have cleared out all the dead leaves and you have made room for new growth, new opportunities. So refresh the page. If you're seeing the little spinning wheel, just refresh the page and that should fix that right up for you. Mercury retrograde has been tough on us, but hopefully for most of you it's still working. Okay. And if you haven't seen me before, I'm the Sage Goddess. I'm really glad to be with you. I teach online classes about the full moon. I teach about the new moon. So I teach about all lunar phases. Now I'm teaching about astrology. I teach about magic and ritual and holding sacred space. So I'm really pleased to be with you tonight. And I'm coming to you live from my hotel room in Tucson, Arizona, because I'm here for the International Gem Show. So I am not in my normal place in space. And in fact, it has been pouring rain here today. I mean, we are in the middle of a really serious storm. So I have been gem shopping all day long in the rain. And I'm really thankful to be sitting here where it's nice and dry and I get to connect with you and talk about fun things and I'm not out in the rain, because that's what I've been in all day long. Okay, well, I have been very, very busy, but teaching is my passion. I really think that no matter what you do in life, you should find a way to integrate what you love. And I love teaching. I love sharing information with people. And I love learning too. Whenever I teach these classes, it's not a one-way thing. It's not a one-way relationship. I learn from you and your comments. In many cases, as much I think, or I hope, as you're learning from me and what I have to share with you. I have been studying metaphysics and astrology and numerology since I was 15, and I'm 41. So I've been studying this for a very long time, and it's really fun for me to think of creative new ways to package this information and make it meaningful and worthwhile for you too. Well, thank you so much, Shelley. That means a lot to me. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Jeannie. Well, I appreciate the kind words, and I'm excited to get started. So what's fun is every month there is a new set of tools. They're not required, but they're recommended. And what I did was I custom designed perfumes for every sun sign. So it's still in the shop. Like if you watch tonight and you want to engage some of these energies, there's still a few sets in the shop. There's an Aquarius perfume. There is an Aquarius candle, which I'm going to light here in just a minute. And there is an Aquarius incense, which I've already opened mine because I love it so much. And there are Aquarian gemstones, which I will show you right here in my cute little hand. These are the Aquarian gemstones right here. So you have lepidolite, amethyst, atlantisite, and amazonite. Okay? And I'm going to talk to you about all those things tonight. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, let me talk to you about the perfume. I'm going to talk to you about all the ingredients so that you know why I created what I did, why I chose what I chose, what each oil, what each herb, what each stone represents. And that's the whole point of tonight. When we talk about herbs and oils and stones relative to astrology or holidays or moon phases, what we call that in magical terms is correspondence. Are you guys familiar with that term, correspondence, or that phrase, magical correspondences? And what that means is that we're creating layers of connection between the herbs, the gemstones, the essential oils, and the other. You can do other correspondences as well, but I try to focus on herbs, gems, and the essential oils and the ingredients that I make. So that's what we call correspondences, and correspondences are fun to study. There's a fantastic book I have it in my Etsy, my sagegoddess.com boutique, but you can get it at Amazon or at your local bookstore. And it's a magical book of correspondences, and it teaches you about the days of the week and the months of the year and the astrological signs and all the gods and goddesses and the hours of the day have a correspondence, the days of the week have a correspondence, numbers have a correspondence, everything has a correspondence. And what's really fun is it reinforces to you that everything is divinely connected. Like that to me is the magic of correspondences. Everything that I'm talking to you about tonight is connected. You know, this sign, even though it might not be your sign, is connected to your sign. And it's in very powerful ways. So hopefully you can see me. It looks like I'm a little locked up here. Can you guys still see me? If you have challenges, can you let me know? That way I can know if I need to work on my connection here or not. Then I'm going to keep plugging forward. Okay. Cool deal. Thank you, Mercury retrograde, for allowing us to gather here tonight without technological difficulties. So I'm going to start by lighting my candle just to kick us off. I smudged so the energies are nice and clear before we do any work. And when I'm doing metaphysical or magical work, that includes, teaching like this. Before I do any work with a group, I like to clear the energies. So I'm going to I always start by smudging. I've done that tonight, so now I'm going to light my candle. Candles are important because they bring the element of fire to your ritual work. I always like to watch smoke. It's one of my things. I like to watch smoke. The smoke takes the path of least resistance. Smoke doesn't try to be something it's not. Smoke goes with the flow. So I love watching smoke when I blow out a candle or blow out a match. So I've lit my candle. That's right here. And that's always one way that I start a ritual process or start a teaching process or begin a circle gathering, is to light the candle. And I'll talk to you about the correspondences in just a second. So let me give you a lay of the land for tonight. If you do not know your sun, your moon, and your rising sign, any of you in that position where you don't know sun, moon, rising signs, if that's the case for you, if you don't know your sun, your moon, or your rising sign, go to astro.com. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but to my knowledge, it's the only free website. Enter your birth data and get a natal chart, which is the chart of the night sky, or the evening sky, or the morning sky, or afternoon sky, and all the planets and all their alignments at the moment you were born. It's very important. You need to know the minute of your birth. You need to know the city, like hour down to the minute. You need to know the city, the state, the country, obviously, and that's it. If you have that information, you can find out your sun, moon, and your rising sign. And so you might have sun in Gemini, but then come to find out that your rising sign is in Leo, or your rising sign is in Aquarius. Your moon sign is in Aquarius. And so, what I'm talking about tonight might end up being very significant for you if you have your moon or your rising sign in Aquarius, even if your sun sign isn't in this sign. So astro.com is the place to go. My sun sign is Leo, and I'm a very typical Leo, but my moon and my rising sign are in different signs. My moon is in Sagittarius, which is the placement of the moon most associated with occult studies. So it's no surprise that I love talking about magic and the moon and, sort of the darker edge of metaphysical practice, because Sag moon people love talking about the metaphysical and the occult. My rising sign is Libra, so totally different. I have sun and moon in fire signs. My rising sign is in an air sign in Libra. Well, Libra rising people are the people pleasers of the world. And I'm very much that. Like, I want everybody to be happy. I'm always looking to create equilibrium between people. I want everybody to get along. I'm always very happy to please people. So finding out what your sun, your moon, and your rising sign are is really important. And if you need help with that, go to astro.com. You'll be able to read all about it, and you'll be able to get your chart, and it gives you some direction about how to find your ascendant or your rising sign. Okay? So I'm going to start by talking to you about sun, moon, or sun sign, rising sign, and moon sign first, just generally, to give us a foundation, a place to begin. Then I'm going to start talking to you about Aquarius in February and all the significance, the correspondences associated with Aquarius and the sign Aquarius. I'm going to talk to you both about Aquarian men and Aquarian women. And the way I like to teach is very much like I don't sugarcoat stuff. So I'm going to talk about the realities of this sign, both the light aspects of Aquarius people, so the things that we love about them, and the shadow aspects of Aquarius people, the things that frustrate us about you. And so you might have a good giggle. Hopefully you'll recognize some aspects of your strengths and your challenges in what I described for you. And then I'm going to talk to you about the Aquarian person in love, at work, and with regard to their health. And I'll leave plenty of time at the end for some questions. And I'm going to lead a very brief purification meditation that's related to this sun sign. Every month I'm going to try to do just a quick meditation focused on the sign of that month. So you can start to see, okay, Aquarius is about refreshing and purifying and cleansing. That's really what that sign, that water-bearing sign, is. Each month I'll teach you what the sign, its symbolism represents. And the next month we'll do it all again. This is going to be the fourth Friday of every month. Will be the next astrological session, and next month, of course, is Pisces. So we'll be getting ready to talk about Pisces 4 weeks from tonight. Okay. So let's begin. So let me talk to you about sun signs, moon signs, and rising signs. Now, most of you know your sun sign, right? So if somebody says, I'm a Leo, or I'm an Aquarius, or I'm a Sagittarius, or whatever the sun sign is, what that means is that's your day-to-day personality. That's who you probably know yourself most to be. That's who you are when you encounter ongoing situations. That's probably how your family knows you, and people who know you really well know you as that. So when I say I'm a Leo sun, what I'm saying is I'm gregarious, and I'm courageous, and I'm proud, and I'm flamboyant, and I'm a leader, and all of those things. With Aquarius, what we know about the Aquarius sun sign, which is our focus tonight, is that Aquarians are very much unique. They're the innovators. Aquarius people are very, very smart. And Aquarians really love to do things differently, sometimes just for the sake of doing it differently. And that can be a huge blessing, right? I mean, we need people to think outside the box, and Aquarians are very much that. You know, when I used to teach, I used to joke, like if I tell everybody in a classroom to draw a square, my Aquarius students are going to look at me and listen to me and then draw a circle. That's really how it went. So if you're an Aquarius, that probably resonates with you. Do I have Aquarius people in the house tonight? I'm curious. I see a Libra, I see Scorpio. You have to let me know what your signs are too, because I'm curious. I'll try and tie it to your signs so that it makes more sense for you. Yeah, I see Chris saying that her husband was an Aquarian for sure. So special snowflakes, all of us Aquarians, is so true, Natasha. So that's the reality. Is Aquarians are just very, very different people. One of the ways you can recognize an Aquarius, by the way, is because they're always dressed a little bit differently. You know, but Aquarians pull it off. Like they're the ones as women who can wear a purple scarf with a blue shirt and green pants and yellow shoes, and you know, they look flamboyant and really different, but for them it works because they usually have a very strong sense of personal style. You know, Aquarians can really put together some unique, sometimes very strange combinations of clothing and, you know, jewelry and accessories, and even for men. You know, Aquarian men tend to have a very unique style. Sometimes it's known as sort of like, you know, antiquarian or sort of a more historical way of dressing. A lot of my Aquarian male friends like clothing that's a little, you know, older, a little more out of date, or a different style. Almost looks like it comes from a different era. Like banded, you know, collared shirts and just things that you don't see all the time. But on them, it's very, the Aquarian men tend to be very handsome, and they tend to be able to pull off looks that aren't more modern, things that you would see every day. So, I'm seeing someone say that an Aquarian they knew wore stripes and plaids at the same time. That's so the Aquarius profile. Like, I'm going to go in my closet and dig out all the stuff that people tell me shouldn't go together, like stripes and plaids, and I'm going to rock it. And most Aquarians are really good at doing that, at putting it together. Other signs would do that, and it would look like a tragic wardrobe train wreck. But somehow the Aquarians are very able to pull that off. Now, let's go back to where we're talking about sun signs. So sun signs are how your family knows you. It's how you know yourself. It's how you are in your day-to-day life over the long term, because your sun sign is who you're meant to become. Okay? So it's the aspect of yourself that you grow most deeply into. And in fact, a lot of your life challenges are going to be associated with that sun sign position, because it's about the lessons that you're here to learn in this lifetime. Now your moon sign's a little different. Do anybody know what element the moon represents? A little pop quiz for our astrological session tonight. What element does the moon represent? I'll give you a hint. It's not Earth. What element does the moon represent? The emotions, that's right, water. Very much the water, the emotions, the heart, the feelings, the connection, the intuitive aspects of your life, very much so. So your moon sign is about how you feel and what you're intuitively connected to. So if you take away everything but your instinct in your life, your moon sign is what you're going to gravitate to when you take away your conscious mind and when you take away all of the stereotypes that people have about you, or the box that they've put you in. Your real emotional self is that moon sign. And like I said, my moon sign is very much known for being interested in the metaphysical, interested in intuition and tarot cards and all of that stuff. And I've been interested in all of it since I was really, really young. And I wasn't exposed to too much of it because my family was against it. So it wasn't like it was a thing that I saw all the time as a kid. It was really something that I pursued on my own since the time I was very young. Now your rising sign is, and this is what I'm fascinated with, in terms of astrology, because your rising sign is really important. Your rising sign is how you first present yourself to the world. So when people first meet me, I don't think they realize I'm a Leo. Because when they first meet me, I'm showing up as a Libra. So I'm asking lots of questions about them. I'm wanting to know how they are. I'm wanting to know if I can fix them some tea. I'm wanting to get them to open up. I'm wanting to find out what they need so that I can satisfy them and I can make them happy and I can balance the scales. That's very much my first way of introducing myself to someone. Then the Leo comes out in me a little bit later, which is, the eccentric, the ego, the leader, the I've got to be first, I've got to be in charge, it's going to be my way or the highway. All that stuff comes later after the Libra rising has sort of worn off. So your rising is your ascendant sign. That's exactly right, Audrey. So if you see ascendant, that's the same thing as the rising sign. Ascendant means rising. So it's the position of the sunrise, of that line at sunrise when you're born. So your rising sign is really important because it's how you show up to the world. We call it the mask in astrology. It's the mask that you wear. So when I'm first meeting you, when you're first meeting me, before like the novelty has worn off, you're going to meet me as a Libra, and I'm reading some of you about your rising sign. So Ellie, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is Gemini, Sun, and Rising. So I'm going to meet her that way. Victoria is a Pisces rising, so she's going to show up to me as a Pisces. And then once we move through that, if your sun sign's different, I'm going to start to get to know you a little bit better in that more significant way. Does that help clarify sun, moon, and rising? Because they're very different. Your sun, moon, and rising signs just have different, energies. They mean different things for people and how we get to know each other relative to those things. Now, every astrological sign has an element. So there are earth signs, water signs, air signs, and earth, air, and fire. I have to think about the four. There are fire signs, earth signs, water signs, and air signs. I'm a fire sign. We're talking tonight about air signs. And air signs are very much people who live in their head. That's what we're going to talk tonight about with regard to Aquarius. Aquarian people are challenged because they spend a lot of their time and a lot of their life living right here. They're thinking about things, they're coming up with new ideas, they're setting intentions, they are, crafting plans and building plans in their head. But one of the challenge areas for Aquarius is on execution. And most Aquarians I know would totally agree that this is the case. They're very good idea people. And you gotta have them. I mean, I actively look for air signs when I'm hiring people to work for me at Sage Goddess. And I have quite a few. My company is almost exclusively air and earth signs. I'm one of the only fire sign people on my team. I don't need other people running around setting things on fire. I don't need other people trying to be in charge. What I need is people thinking and people doing. And the air signs are the people who are thinking things through. They're thinking long range, they're planning, they've got the innovation. And Aquarians, it's really interesting. If you look at the profiles, the astrological profiles of people who have done space travel and space exploration, just as an example. A lot of them are Aquarians. You know, people in science who have won Nobel Prizes and who have been on the cutting edge of innovation, a lot of them are Aquarians. And it's interesting when you start to break it down, it's so true. A lot of presidents of the United States are Leos. My birth chart and Bill Clinton's birth chart are almost identical. I mean, if you map the two, they're like identical. Same with Barack Obama. A lot of American presidents have been Leos with a birth chart that's very similar to mine. So there's a leadership profile. And in fact, if you were born between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., anybody in that camp? If you were born between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., then you were born when the sun was right at the center point of the natal chart, sort of right at high noon. And that is the leadership position for the sun. So if you look at most presidents of the United States, they were born between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And some people say, I'm not saying I want to be president. I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I have very little interest in politics. I have much more fun doing what I do. Now, it's true. Also, the reverse is true. So if you were born between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., that's sort of the reverse of the leadership position. So those are people who are more comfortable being behind the scenes. They might still be leaders, but they're probably not going to be in charge. They're probably going to be behind the scenes in support roles and things like that. So, and it's funny is knowing all this, I was very mindful when I was having my children. I'm like, what time is it? Oh, it's after 1 o'clock. Well, that's okay. She doesn't have to be president, kind of thing. It's terrible, but once you know a lot about astrology, you start thinking about, sun signs and rising signs. And I was plotting my kids' chart even in the hospital. You're not supposed to really plot natal charts for children until they're about 5, and look at them with any sense of accuracy. But I was looking at it, I have to say. So bringing it all back. So there are 4 different elements when it comes to the astrological signs. Aquarius is an air element, and they're in their head, but they're not the executors of the will. If you hire an Aquarius, you should also hire a Virgo or a Taurus, Capricorn, somebody who's going to be able to put boots on the ground and actually go do the things that the Aquarius is thinking about. Then there are modes. So every sign is either fixed, mutable, or cardinal. And I know this is getting confusing, but hopefully you guys are staying with me. So, as an example, Aquarians are fixed air. Fixed meaning they're stubborn. They get stuck in a pattern. They hold on to an idea, which can be fantastic because if an Aquarius thinks up something, if they dream up a plan, they're going to see that plan through. They might not execute it, but they're going to complete the idea. Other air signs, like Gemini as an example, they'll come up with an idea, but 10 minutes later, a lot of Geminis are sort of on to something else because they're not a fixed sign. They're not holding on. The other thing is, though, here's the shadow side of that, is Aquarians can hold on to things for too long. And so Aquarians tend to be the grudge keepers of the zodiac. If you've had a run-in with an Aquarius and they have developed a thought about you, like you're unreliable or you're too emotional or you're unkind or you're rude, if they've developed that thought about you, it's very, very hard for an Aquarian to let that go. And it's really hard for you to get beyond it. Even if you apologize and you change and whatever you do, Aquarians are going to hold on to that mental model that they develop because they're fixed air sign. And it's totally true. Jess is saying that they can obsess, and they really can. You have to sort of back Aquarians away from the cliff and just say, hey, like holding on to that idea or holding on to that grudge isn't serving you. Like that person has long since moved on with their life, and it might actually help you for you to move on with your life too. So we can teach Aquarians a lot about how to manage their emotions, because here's the thing, and this is sort of the upshot for Aquarius from my perspective. My mom's an Aquarius, so I was raised by one, and she and I struggled. Where we got along really well is I'm so different and she's so okay with being different that she allowed me to be, for the most part. She wasn't trying to make me into something I wasn't, which as a Leo I really appreciate, because Aquarians are so good at that. Like they want to be who they are, and they also want you to be who you are, and I think that's a gift that we give to people, and she definitely gave that to me. But here's the thing with Aquarians, here's the upshot. They are so brilliant and so innovative and so curious, intellectually curious and intellectually adept. Like they can hold so many different thoughts at a time, and they want the world to be a better place. I mean, that's, if you talk about the fundamental motivation of each sign, which I'll do each month, like what does each sign really, really want at their core? Aquarians want the world to be a better place. Here's the challenge. They want it to be a better place in exactly the way they think it should be in their head. Because in their head, they've worked it all through. In their head, they've planned it out. They've come up with all the ideas. They have figured it out. They've figured out, they've anticipated what the challenges would be, and they've already worked out the solutions for that. So it's, for an Aquarian, it's like, I want the world to be a better place. I know exactly how that should happen, and I will dislike anyone who tells me it should be a different way. And the Leo in me just says, okay, wow, because that's challenging if you're in a relationship with people or if you're on a team with people who also have really good ideas, Aquarius, making allowance for someone else to say, well, I think it should be a different way. Let's bounce my idea around and see if my idea could work too. And the Aquarian is like, no, I already thought of your idea and it's not good, but thank you for offering it anyway. And that's true. Trisha's saying it. It never goes how I have it planned in my head, which is really true. And that's where Aquarians can be very humble afterward and say, in hindsight, which is always 2020, this other solution had these problems, or I should have thought of this, or, when it actually got done, it didn't happen the way I thought it was going to, because invariably somebody else has to come along and manifest what the Aquarius has been thinking about, right? So interesting. So, and that, and that may not be you to a T, and here's the thing. So I'm talking to you about Aquarius right now. This would be uber true for you, like uber true for you, if your sun, your moon, and your rising were all in Aquarius, okay? I don't know a single triple Aquarian. If any of you are, I would love to know, because then I can say, I know a triple Aquarian, because I've never met one before. I think they would be a challenge because they'd be so in their head that they probably wouldn't leave their house very much. But I've never met one before. So if I'm saying things that don't totally resonate with you, 99% sure you have a moon sign or a rising sign that's in a different sign, in a different position. And what that does is it creates, what a Venn diagram is from math, where there's sort of like overlapping circles and there's a sort of a center that has a representation of all three combined. Your astrological profile is like a Venn diagram. You're part Aquarius, part Gemini, part Leo, or whatever those three signs are for you. You're part of all of those things. You're the nexus of that combination, and that combination makes up who you are. Rebecca is a triple Aquarian. My life is officially complete right now because seriously, I've known triple Pisces, I've known triple Geminis, I've known triple Leos. I have never met a triple Aquarian. I know. High five. You have totally made my evening. Jessica's a double Aquarian. She has sun and rising, which is very interesting. So that's really funny. That's awesome though. I really haven't met one before, so now I have. That sort of completes me in a way. Okay, so what is fixed air energy all about? Fixed air energy is about ideas that become focused, okay? Think about the gift of this, and I want you to think about it without thinking about Aquarius for just a minute, okay? There are moments where in my own work life and in my own personal life, my own professional life, I stop and say, I'm a fixed fire sign. So I burn up, but I'm stubborn about it. Like I'm gonna light this candle and I'm gonna burn this room down, and that's how it's gonna go down. I'm very tough, but I get stuck in my fire. So sometimes I'll play with the idea of what would it be like. So let's say I'm thinking about a problem that I'm facing, a problem in a relationship. I will ask myself, okay, I'm fixed fire. So right now I'm passionate, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm fiery about this. What if I moved into air for just a minute? How would I respond? I could still be fixed, right? I could still be focused. I could still be my stubborn self. But what if I approached this problem from an air element perspective? It's sort of like asking the question, what would an Aquarian do? Okay? Leos in relationships tend to kind of bulldoze over people's emotions and be very focused on the self, because the Leos tend to be very ego-driven unless they're highly evolved. And even when they're highly evolved, they devolve occasionally into ego. Aquarians don't do that. Aquarians are always looking at the partnership. Aquarians are very interested in the balance of the intellect and the emotions. And Aquarians are very fair. Aquarians are so focused on equity and fairness. It's really important to them, to the extreme level of humanitarianism, even. I mean, Aquarians want all people in the world to be fed. They want all people in the world to be treated fairly and equally. They're very, very interested in human rights, equal rights, all of that. Aquarians are humanitarians at their core. So I can say to myself as a Leo, okay, if I approach this relationship issue from an Aquarian perspective, I'm going to be more focused on what's fair and what's right. I'm going to be more focused on the highest good for both of us as an outcome. And it takes you just away for a moment, from where you're focused, which for me as a Leo can often be the profound emotions, and the more sort of fiery emotions. Takes me out of that for a minute, out of my heart and my soul and my gut into my head, and allows me to think about things from a different perspective. So you can stop and say, what would a fixed air sign do? Which is part of the reason I've made the perfume. So this is a fixed air perfume, and if you haven't worked with me before, I use perfumes in a shamanic way. Perfumes have scent associations that are really powerful to them, and they activate old parts of your brain. Your olfactory system in your brain is adjacent to the limbic system, which is an old part of your brain that doesn't even know how to speak. But the sense of smell is very, very subconscious. And so the Aquarian blend is this mix of lavender and violet, really delicate flowers, but very fresh flowers. But it's a scent association that works with this sign. So what you can even do too, if you work with perfume or with stones, if you're in that fiery place, or that, if you're a Virgo and you're in relationship, you're focused on, am I right? Am I right? Or if you're a Scorpio, you're looking at, did this work for my best good? Did this work out for me personally? And if it didn't, I'm going to get back at that person, is how a Scorpio looks at it. If you shift your perspective, and scent can really help you do that, which is why I use perfume. You can even put the perfume on and have a scent association with Aquarius or with fixed air energy and say, okay, well, let me move myself, even in a sensory, manner, away from my current state or my own astrological profile, and work with a different sign, work with a different energy. So that's how we use it. So there's that. So let's talk about gemstones just for a minute, because everybody knows that Aquarius has amethyst as their birthstone. And that's important because amethyst is a stone of peace. And Aquarians are very much the peacemakers. So it's no surprise that this is their birthstone. I'm wearing purple in honor of you, Aquarius, by the way. But this is what they represent. Aquarians represent peace and balance. They're very much looking for that right balance between emotions and thoughts. So we use, people always think about amethyst as the Aquarian birthstone, but they don't think about the why of it, which is why I wanted to teach this class. Why is amethyst the Aquarian birthstone? And it very much symbolizes that balance that they're trying to strike, and also symbolizes the peace that Aquarians bring, not just in the sense of like relaxation, but in the broader sense of peace in humanity, peace among people. The humanitarians of the world, the scientists, the innovators are Aquarians. The alternative birthstone for Aquarius is amazonite, which is this really pretty teal aqua blue stone that I love. And it's very funny to me. Go with me for a moment. It's very funny to me that amazonite is one of the Aquarian birthstones because, and garnet, Sarah's asking about garnet. Garnet is for Capricorn as one of the Capricorn birthstones. So this is for Aquarius, it's amethyst, and amazonite is an alternative. Here's what's interesting to me. Amazonite is a throat chakra stone. Very much activates this chakra here that helps you speak your authentic truth in the world. I have never known an Aquarian who wasn't really good at speaking their truth in the world. In fact, most Aquarians I know need to stop speaking their truth so much in the world and maybe listen a little bit more to their lovely fellow humans. So that's always my joke with a Amazonite. Like, really? I don't think Aquarians need a Amazonite. I think they need a sort of a mouth closing stone that would help them listen better. Maybe an ear opening stone would work really nicely for Aquarians. But anyway, I mean, I'm half joking, but I'm half not joking, because I really don't know a lot of Aquarians who won't tell you exactly what they think and feel and expect that that's going to be what you need to do. Now, I do think that Aquarians need to feel safe speaking their truth, and that may be part of why that's the right stone for them. They need to feel safe saying what's on their mind. A lot of times Aquarians, they're so opinionated, and they have this way of telling people things that it sounds almost like an ultimatum. Aquarians need to feel like it's okay to say, here's what I want to do, here's how I think things should be, and they need to be taught how to say that in such a way that it gets heard. Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's a way to say, here's how I think this should go, or here's how I think we should run this, without sounding like there's no other way, or there's no other possible outcome. So that could be true. Now, I put 2 other stones in this set, and this is why I hope these little sets are interesting to you, because there's the light side of Aquarius that I just talked about, and the traditional birthstones that I think, everybody needs to use. I put 2 other stones in because I think there's 2 areas where Aquarians need to do work, okay, to feel happier in their lives. The first thing is they have got to learn how to relax. Aquarians tend to have very high blood pressure. Aquarians tend to be overrepresented when it comes to use of antidepressants, interestingly enough. And these are true facts. So they need to learn how to relax, to allow things to be. They've thought about things so much in their head and worked themselves up to the point where they're nervous and they've got anxiety and panic attacks and all of these things. And a lot of my customers who come to me with extreme anxiety disorder are Aquarians, because they've worked themselves up into a frenzy. So I put lepidolite in this set because this is the stone of anxiety relief. This is the stone of relaxation. We call this the antidepressant stone because I actually have had a lot of clients who have been able to get off of antidepressants using lepidolite and lavender and some of the more naturopathic, homeopathic remedies that we use when we work with oils and herbs. And then the other stone that I recommended for my dear Aquarians is atlantisite, which is a combination. It's a really, really beautiful stone. It's serpentine with stitchtite. It comes from Tasmania. So it only comes from one region in the world. It's a very special stone. But atlantisite, among other things, brings happiness, contentment. It's very important for Aquarians to learn how to be happy. Not be constantly trying to fix things, or not constantly trying to figure it out, or not constantly trying to share their perspective and convince people how things should be, and not constantly trying to be different just to be different. Aquarians need to find inner peace and beauty, see the beauty of the world as it is, and to find happiness with the way things are. It's very hard. I can tell you, as a child of an Aquarius, what I did experience a lot was my mom saying things like, I wish you were, more whatever. And that statement usually came from a place of concern for me. Like, I wish you were more focused, or I wish you were less focused, or, I wish you took more time off of work, or I wish you didn't work so hard, and it comes from a place of love, but it also comes from a place of not fully being able to accept the way things are. Constantly trying to make things different is exhausting. It's really hard. So I think that's one of the important lessons for you, Aquarius, is learning to let things be. Because the reality is most of us aren't going to change things anyway. So if we can learn to go with the flow a little bit, we tend to be a lot happier. Okay, so what I want to do is a very quick meditation. So a couple more things to tell you about Aquarius. Hopefully you're enjoying this. And if you, like I said, if you're not sure what your profile is, go to astro.com. You can enter all your birth information there. They have a birth data entry page. And if you go to that page and you enter your birth information, like where you were born, what time, and so forth, it'll pull up a natal chart, and it'll show you where your sun is. It'll show you your ascendant sign, which is your rising sign. It'll show you where your moon is, too. You're so welcome. Okay, so the sign of Aquarius is called the water bearer. That's the symbol for Aquarius. If you look at the glyph, what we call the glyph of Aquarius, it's the water, 2 lines of water flowing above and below each other. It's what you see on the candle when we design these custom labels for these candles that we made. By the way, the candles are poured with the Aquarius perfume too, so you get the benefits of that oil when you burn the candle too, which is kind of nice. I have so much to tell you about all the signs. I cannot wait for each month to come because I think they're all interesting. So I'm really excited for your sign to come. But the glyph is the 2 lines of water. And if you look back at where that came from, this idea of the water bearer is the symbol of someone pouring water out into the world. And that's how Aquarius is seen. Some people call Aquarius the forgotten water sign because it's an air sign, but Aquarians are very interested in emotions, and they're represented by this water bearer who pours water out. In ancient times, December was always a month of a deep reverence for Christianity, for religion. At least, since we've had, since pre-Christian history, as Christian history has evolved and unfolded. December's always been this time of deep connection to our religious practice. January and February were thought to be these months of purification when the rains would come and clear out the land and also clear away negative energy and to prepare a clean, fresh slate for the crops that would grow, the flowers and the herbs and everything that would grow beginning in March and April when spring came. So that's what February is about. February literally means, the translation of February is purifying through water, which is, I think it's beautiful. So if that's what this month is about, and it's raining here in Tucson, so we're having a purification through water here, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. This won't be a full meditation, but I just want you to visualize for a moment. And close your eyes with me and start to visualize a body of water, whether it's you live near the ocean like I do in California, or if you live near a river or a lake, or if you haven't ever been near water, but you can just imagine a body of water. And I want you to focus your visualization on the waves as they're flowing. And what's interesting about water is it carries things to us and it carries things away from us. At the same time, there's the ebb and the flow and the tidal pull that brings things to you, washes things away, brings things to you, washes things away. And what I want you to visualize for just a moment is, what do you need to send away from you on the water right now in this month of water purification? Because Aquarius has this energy for you. What do you need to release onto those waves in order to bring some renewal this spring, next month, when we start to talk about, the coming of spring and life returning to the earth? What do you finally need to let go of that you haven't yet? And I want you to imagine putting that thing or that person or that feeling or that experience on those waves that you're visualizing, and watch those waves just carry that thing away. And I do this with clients and friends all the time. It's really funny actually. If something's really bothering them, what I'll tell them is, put that thing on the water. And you can actually do this. You can go and watch the water go and visualize what you need to release moving away. You can just do it in your mind. Whatever that thing is that's bothering you, or a conversation you had with somebody, or a problem that you're going over, you can't sleep at night if you're kind of spinning on something, imagine putting that thing on a wave and then just watch it move away from you. Literally creating energetic space between you and that thing, whatever it is. It's very, very helpful. And so even in this moment, what do you need to release? What can you watch move away from you? If it's a person that you've had trouble with, watch their energy just go with that flow, moving them away from you, creating space around you and between you that can heal the relationship and give you breathing room. If it's a situation, just imagine the people, the places, the things. And then if you want to draw something to you, like abundance or joy or health or peace, what would you want to pull toward you? You can imagine that thing out on the farthest wave that you can visualize and just watch it, sort of move its way, wind its way, flow its way towards you until you can touch it. It's a really powerful visualization. It's watching the waves come in. I do this at night sometimes from my house. I can see them on moonlight. It's watching the waves come in and imagine them just carrying things to me, carrying happiness, carrying peace, carrying groundedness, carrying connection, carrying energy, carrying stamina, carrying all the things that I need, health, if I didn't say health already. That's always what I'm asking for more of. So whatever you're asking for more of, just visualize that coming to you on those waves. And so that is the water bearer. That's a very powerful visualization that you can use to either send things away or pull things in. And it's a very powerful purification visualization for this time of year. What needs to be cleansed? What do you need to attract? And I recommend cleansing first, like send the stuff away first before you attract. Because as you pull things in, you're going to be pulling them in a space that will allow them to flourish. You don't want to call new things into your life when there's clutter and chaos and sadness and you're not in the right headspace. Send the things you no longer need out and away from you, and then watch the waves come and bring you all the things that you need. It'll be very helpful for you. So I'm going to talk to you for just about 3 more minutes about Aquarians, and I want to leave a few minutes for questions and answers from you. I would love to know what's on your mind. So I want to talk to you about Aquarius in love, Aquarius at work, a little bit, although we've talked a little bit about Aquarius at work. And I want to talk to you about Aquarians and their health. Because to me, these are like the 3 main focus areas. People come to me, they want to talk about their health, their work, and their love life. So let's talk about that. We can talk about sex too, because every sign does it differently. Leos will tell you that Leos do it the best. That's very much a Leo way of thinking about things. Actually, I don't think Leos are the sexiest sign of all. I think Scorpio has that market cornered, but that is very much open for debate. I haven't sampled it all, so I can't speak to you from direct experience, but... Okay, so let's talk about love. Aquarians in love. So Aquarians are extremely independent. They like to be alone. Aquarians don't need to be surrounded by people to be happy, and in fact, Aquarians most of the time need time by themselves to be happy. So you will find them being kind of like the loners of the world. They don't like being alone all the time, but I will tell you, every Aquarian needs time to herself or time to himself. Very, very much so. So if you want to make your Aquarian happy, you need to let them be free, especially Aquarian men. Aquarian men in relationships, one of their biggest fears, Aquarian men in a relationship, is that they're not going to be free anymore. And they don't want to be single forever. They'd like to be married or, engaged, but they want to feel like they still have that freedom. And I believe all people should be free, even in a relationship. I don't think relationships should bind you or hold you back. I think relationships at their best actually enable you to feel more free than you ever have before. Aquarians actually like open relationships, which is a conversation for another time. But they really like this idea that, like, I can be with you, or I could be with you, or just the concept of it. They're monogamous people, and they can be very loyal, because once in their mind they're committed, they tend to stay very committed. But the idea of freedom is very seductive to an Aquarian, especially Aquarian men. Aquarian women in relationships are very service-oriented. Now, Aquarians of both sexes are service-oriented. They want to serve the world. They want to serve the planet. They want to make the world a better place. Aquarians want to know that when they die, they made some mark on the planet, even if it's a small one, that, sort of like, I was here. But they also want to serve in a relationship. They like to caretake. They like to prepare meals. Most Aquarian women are fantastic cooks. I've actually never met an Aquarian woman who wasn't a good cook. So if you're a shitty cook and you're an Aquarian, I would love to know that, because I can say I've never met an Aquarian woman who was a bad cook, but maybe one of you is. But they tend to be very good cooks. They tend to be very good providers, very good nourishers. My mom's very much like this too. Like, they're very nurturing. That's exactly right. And my mom's very good at going to the grocery store and getting good food. Like, there's always snacks and stuff to eat and things. She's very good at having the things you need to take care of yourself and to feel nurtured. Okay, so Stacy is a bad cook, a not cooker, and I think Stacy is an Aquarius. So now I have officially met an unofficially bad cook who's an Aquarius. Tonight's just all kinds of new milestones for me in my life. I know, high five, look at that. Okay. So the Aquarian woman, independent, likes to be alone sometimes, but also loves to be in a relationship, very nurturing, very loving, needs to stop trying to get her family members to be different than they are, needs to allow them to be as different as she would like to be. Aquarian men, also very nurturing, a little cold and detached sometimes, Aquarian men. Not always the warmest and fuzziest, but they're very loyal. They like to be good providers, and they're also very nurturing in their own way. So those are the things to know. They're very, very smart. Aquarians tend to be great in relationships together because they can just sit and think together and think into oblivion together. so that will often work out well. In health, this is the last thing I want to say about Aquarius. Then we can talk about sex if you want to, but I want to see what your questions are. In health, Aquarians tend to be a little bit focused on, their health challenges. Not completely, but they tend to be very focused on what could go wrong or what is going wrong. They're hypochondriacs sometimes, Aquarians can be. And they tend to trust one doctor exclusively. I've noticed this as a pattern with Aquarians. Like once they've done all their research and found a doctor, they will stick with that doctor forever, even if that doctor makes a mistake or doesn't fully know what they're doing. So they need to be open to new ideas. They need to be open to alternative treatments. They tend to be sort of traditional and fixed in their approach to their health, and not the people who naturally go to, okay, how can I go to a doctor and also try, alternative treatments, or try acupuncture, or try meditation, try yoga. Blending of East and West tends not to be the Aquarian way of being. Now, I'm hearing that that's not you. It's the opposite with you. So like I said, there may be Aquarius in you, but other signs too. It's very much, as an example, a Leo way of wanting to try things, to innovate or find something new, or, be the first to try something new. So Leos will go for alternative treatments, even if they're not tested, just to say they tried something new for the first time, which can be very, that's a Leo thing. But yes, the worry thing for the Aquarius is very much a challenge, which is why we have the don't worry, be happy stone in the set, because it's work for Aquarians not to worry so much. And when it comes to their health, if you worry about your health, you can manifest disease. We know that's for sure. So it's actually very helpful about, trying to find ways to think positively about your health, Aquarius. The Aquarians will sit up all night and Google things and get, work themselves into a panic, and then, and then all of a sudden now they've got another problem in addition to whatever the health challenge it was. So I have noticed that. The stone for happiness and anxiety relief is lepidolite. Hard to tell in this light here, but it's like a purple, sort of a light purple. There's a new set in my shop called the Relax set. It's a relaxation perfume made with essential oils, and it comes with a free piece of that. So if you didn't get the Aquarius set or you don't want the whole set, there's a really beautiful relaxation perfume that you might enjoy, and it comes with a free piece of that stone right now, which is very cool. Okay, so what questions can I answer for you before I sign off for the evening? I would love to know what's on your mind, see if I can answer it for you. Lepidolite is total magic, I have to say. I like to work with it in its natural form, but tumbled is just as good. Shelly says she's teaching an Aquarian hubby about the metaphysical, and he's very open-minded. Yeah, well, and rightfully so. I mean, the realm of ideas to Aquarians is like a universe of possibility. And Aquarians very much like to know what's happening on the fringe and on the edges, because they like to think about what's possible. So they can be very fun people to talk to about the metaphysical, because they're very open-minded in general. Is there any significance to being born on a full moon? I have noticed, this is the world according to Athena, by the way, but I have noticed that people who are born at the full moon are more intense. I was not. I'm an intense person, so maybe the theory is incomplete, but I have noticed that people born at the full moon are intense. So Sarah's asking a great, great, great question. And if you want to know more about the stones that are in the Aquarius set, go to the Etsy shop and look up the listing, and it has the stones listed. So you'll see the names and the properties and all of that if you want to collect the stones. Sarah's asking about Aquarian kids. They tend to be very similar to the properties that I've been talking about in terms of the, being in their head, being very much focused on ideas, being fixed and stubborn. You tend to see the patterns with astrology really early in life. A Leo is a Leo from birth, and Aquarian is an Aquarian from birth. Although, like I said, your sun sign is a sign that you grow into over the course of your life. Your life lessons, the things that you're learning, your personality as it develops, strengthens you into your sun sign. Both the light aspects of your sun sign and the shadow aspects, or the tougher aspects of your sun sign too. But with kids, you tend to see sort of like childlike patterns around what we're talking about. So they may be very focused on a problem happening at school and blow it out of proportion in their mind, as an example, would be what you might see with an Aquarius child. And you might need help from you getting out of their head a little bit and not worrying so much about what's happening. So Marika asks, how can Aquarians stop worrying? And this is where this series is going to be so helpful to you. Because just like I said, sometimes I, as a fixed fire sign, stop and ask, okay, so how would a fixed air sign handle my situation? If you're a fixed air sign like Aquarius, you can experiment with other profiles. So, if you're too much in the air sign, you might think about, so how would a water sign respond to this stress right now? A water sign would work more deeply with the feelings and maybe cry a little bit, like let themselves really feel the feelings, and then move on, because water keeps moving. How would an earth sign handle this challenge that I'm experiencing right now? Well, an earth sign will always try to get you rooted and connected to, the earth. We'll try to get you to be, comfortable and confident that it's all going to work out. So earth signs tend to be extremely stable. They don't ride these waves of emotions. They tend not to worry so much. Earth signs really do believe it's all going to work out, and most of the time they're right. I mean, things usually do work themselves out. So you might try, if you're a total Aquarius and you're spending all your time in your head and you're worrying about things too much and you're working them up, try working with stones, working with oils, try meditating, and try thinking about, if you don't want to do any of the other stuff, try thinking about how would an earth sign or a water sign or a fire sign handle my situation? Would they be more courageous? Would they try to face the challenge head on, is how a fire sign would handle it. How would an earth sign do it? They would be confident that everything was going to work out, and they would try to calm themselves down and try to ground themselves more, because, Aquarians are not grounded. Air sign means you're up here. So you need to use grounding, stones like garnet and hematite. Shungite's a great one. Actually, shungite's coming to my shop tonight. Shungite's a great one because it purifies negative energy and it grounds you. It really holds you, helps you hold your center. So I believe in using stones and tools and oils and things like that, but you can also do visualizations that are really powerful. The name of the book that I mentioned at the beginning of the class it's called Correspondences. It's the Book of Magical Correspondences. I don't have the author's name at the tip of my tongue, but if you go to sagegoddess.com and in the boutique, I think we have it in the shop. If we don't, send me a note on Facebook to Sage Goddess, and I will get you the title. And if I don't have it in the shop, I'll send you a link to Amazon so you can grab a copy. It's really, really good. Yeah, shungite is a really powerful stone. I never have it. As soon as it comes in, like even tonight, it will sell out. I have little hearts. Shungite hearts are coming. I think I have like 25 of them. They'll be gone. Every time I do a new offering, it's at 9 Pacific time. But shungite in Roman civilization is what the water purification systems, all the aqueducts were lined with shungite because it purifies water. It takes all the impurities out. It does the same thing metaphysically. I mean, it purifies your aura, cleanses your aura, and it grounds, it stabilizes you. It's good for circulation. It's been proven to promote healthy circulation in the body. It's a really powerful stone. It's very, very special. So I see a question. I have certain psychic abilities and really strong connections with other realms. I truly believe part of it is because the Pisces Sun, Aquarius rising. I think so too. When we talk about the age of Aquarius, right, this age of intense evolution and ascension, that we're evolving spiritually at such a fast pace, and Aquarians are part of that equation. An Aquarian mindset is very advanced and very evolved. This is a subject for a whole other conversation, but I have quite a few friends and family members who have had experiences with UFOs, and I will tell you that many of them are Aquarians. Now, that could be a coincidence, but I don't know that it is. They just tend to be sort of like forward thinking and almost advanced or ascended in their own mindset. And they're so open to possibilities, so open to what might exist in the world. It doesn't totally surprise you. Or it doesn't surprise me anyway, that many people who've had experiences with extraterrestrial activity or unidentified flying objects and so forth, they're Aquarians, at least in my experience. Got to be a connection. They're very open. And maybe they know. Maybe the other side knows. Well, so we're a few minutes over the hour. I'm probably going to just pause for here for now. I want to thank you for being with me for this tonight, for our inaugural session of our astrological work together. I hope you loved it. We will put up the event page for the Pisces Gathering, which, like I said, it's going to be the fourth Friday of every month, so mark your calendars at 6 p.m. Pacific time, always. It'll be right here. So it's always going to be sagegoddess.com/astrology. You can come back and watch the recording anytime, which is really cool. You can share it. You can share it with anybody you want. It's free content. And then the Pisces set of tools, the little candle and the incense that we made and all the perfumes and stuff for Pisces will be in the shop tomorrow night at 9 p.m. So if you want to grab your Pisces tools, you can order it in plenty of time for it to arrive by the time we gather. You are so welcome. I'm so glad you liked it. Like I said, my passion is teaching and I love astrology. I think learning about who you are is really important, you know? And there's so much more to you than your sun sign, your moon sign and your rising sign. It's all part of who you are. And knowing how you move in the world and what your emotional sign is and what your sun sign is in terms of your life lessons and all of that. I think it's really important to know who you are collectively. And then find out all your loved ones. Your partner. What's your partner's profile? What about your kids? What about your best friends? I bet you'll see patterns. It's very cyclical in families and friendships and inner circles. So do the homework, and then if you find that there's a lot of Aquarius, come back and watch this again. You'll probably watch it with a whole new perspective if you find out that you or someone you love has a lot of Aquarius in their chart. You're so welcome. All right, everybody. Well, I will see you just about 4 weeks from now. Stay tuned. I am in Tucson, so if you love gemstones, there's a page called Sage Goddess Live from Tucson that you're welcome to join. So if you're not there or in the Gem Haven group, those are both free places to go and just see pictures and fun things from Tucson. We're having a really good time here. We're going to be here for a little while longer, so hopefully you're enjoying that. Bright blessings, everybody. I will see you in just a few weeks from now. In the meantime, take good care and enjoy. Happy birthday to you, Aquarians. We'll see you soon.